Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your Friday night's edition of Not Another Rangers podcast, and I'm your host, Gary. If you are watching it tonight or over the weekend, I commend you. You are a glutton for punishment. We have to do this. There's no really option. So we do thank you, whoever watches this over the next couple of days. It's a depressing time for each and every Rangers fan as we continue to endure the disastrous Russell Martin reign, which continues to get worse and worse and worse with each passing moment. We started off bad, but beat Panathinaikos and Pilsen. Graz and Genk are probably not even a patch on them, and we look at a team that can't even compete against these now. So we have got continually worse over the last couple of months, and not even a last-minute winner by Max Aarons against Livingston can cover up the earthquake-size cracks in the team and in the Rangers squad at this moment in time. So we will dissect the game. We will talk about Russell Martin. We will see how Kevin Thelwell's boys getting on his new job and all the other stuff around the Rangers over the last couple of days. But it's a depressing time after a 2-1 defeat to Sturm Graz, when we've seen some of the most comical defending you will ever see for 2 goals, and it's going to be fun to get into that. So we've got on this emotional and quite depressing journey tonight. I have with us Cameron. How are we, Cameron?
Could be worse, mate. Could be worse, but can't get much worse, can it?
You could be Kevin Thelwell in the hotel.
You could be Patrick. He could be Patrick Stewart. He took his glasses off when he called him a specky bastard, didn't he?
Yeah, that showed him. That showed that fan. And Scott, how are you?
Getting used to this, Gary. I love the negativity. It's really good, isn't it? Keeps us all happy, Gary. I mean, I'm like, you're always saying I'm negative at half time and stuff, so I'm enjoying this. No, seriously, it's been brutal. It's been brutal, and you just want it to stop, but it's a big, long tunnel, and we're leaving it to start yet.
And Scott, I said it once about the half-time thing, and you're holding on to that. I felt it was just a joke. Don't take it personally.
I'm dragging it out, Gary. I'm dragging it.
I didn't really mean it. Ricky, how are you?
No, Ricky.
I know, I'm good, mate. But try and not mention that name, Russell Martin, because it triggers me now, mate. It causes me. I start hitting the cell and going crazy. That's what that guy's done to us, mate. I tell you what. Fuck me, sorry to swear, but did we take the Rangers Thursday nights for granted, mate? Now that they're gone, oh man, the one thing that we had to hold on to, and that idiot's taking that away from us, mate. And now it's just pain. Sad, but we'll get into it, mate.
It's very depressing. And CGM 55, I'm sorry, there's very little positive we can talk about. Do you know what we are dictated to by the results and the performances, and they are abysmal, and it's getting worse. And as the crescendo builds up more and more, it's really all there is to talk about. I suppose, and before we will go into the game later on, but I suppose my first question we're going to ask Cameron, after the defeat, Russell Martin blamed mentality and used the word regularly, mentality, and it wasn't technical, it wasn't tactical, it wasn't anything he done wrong. It was the players not doing the right thing. It was the players making mistakes and making errors. I suppose for me, as a head coach, you're ultimately responsible. And throughout this last 2 or 3 months, in any bad moment, of which there's been a lot, most of the blame has been shifted very quickly onto the players and not in him or his coaching team.
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That is simply passing the buck. That is saying, it's nothing to do with me. I just give them the tools. They're not using the right tools. That's all it is. And he said that last night. And we had a conversation. We were having a debate in the group chat today where when he uses the word mentality, it's just such a vague term. Because in my mind, mentality means that if you go 1-0 down, you just give up. You just go, forget it. We're not winning today. Mentality, in my mind, isn't defending. It's got nothing to do with that. Mentality is just, I don't really get what he's going at, to be honest. I mean, bottom line is, last night we considered 2 poor goals because his tactical setup is poor and the players executed it even more poorly. So he keeps harping on about mentality, and it seems that that's a common theme. Wherever he's been, it's always about mentality. But in my eyes, that's just simply passing the buck. It's not my fault the players aren't doing what I've told them to do. I've set them up well, and they're just not executing it properly, and it's like, that's bollocks.
So, Ricky, in any role when you are a leader and you're responsible for leading people and being in charge of people, whether it be a head coach or a manager or a chief exec, it's your job to guide, instruct, and get them to buy into whatever principles you're doing. So when you then come out and blame mentality or blame players for not failing to do what you've asked them, is that not very simply then your own fault or your own mistake?
Listen, we spoke about it before we came on air. I mean, we know this team's had a weak mentality for about 18 months, right? The players that are shining just now are Butland, Tavernier and Raskin. They're the ones that are actually, if you want to use this word, what we all use, mentality, right? It was their job in the summer to sign the right type of players that brought a mentality into this squad and into this team. We got to the quarterfinals of the Europa League last season, mate, and there was nothing wrong with the mentality then. We hoped that we were going to, with the squad needed a big turnaround, we were hoping we were going to sprinkle some magic onto that and sort out our domestic forum. The defence is worse, and that's his job. He's the manager. So he came in. You remember all the stuff that he promised us? He promised us we were going to be a mentality monsters, we were going to run more, we were going to press more, we were going to pass more, we were going to do everything was going to be the best, and we were going to see it. And he did say, look, we have to go through a bit of pain, and it's going to take a bit of time. Gary, the team is getting worse every game we watch. I mean, this is basic. With it last year, we would have absolutely smashed Graz away from home. We would have last week would have been a 3-4-0 victory. This time last year, we were top of the Europa League, right? And the players that these guys brought in was supposed to add to their mentality. So you're the head coach. Our defence is an absolute shambles. We're one game away, I think, from breaking our all-time record for games without a clean sheet, which is just absolutely ridiculous. We've got just forget about Martin because he has to go. But whoever comes in, just go back to basics, man. Have a defence that can actually defend and keep a clean sheet with a number 6 or 2 number 6 that actually protect the defence. Because just now the team is absolutely wide open. The goals that we're conceding, and it was before Martin came in. It's not just since Martin's came in. It was Coman, it was Barry Ferguson. But we've not fixed any of the problems in our team. We've got worse. The spine is still weak as piss. The mentality still is very, very weak. But that was Felwell's job. That was Martin's job. And that was Patrick Stewart's job after this big review. We should be seeing signs now that all the problems that we had are starting to be solved. And the team's looking worse. And it's Russell Martin is completely out of his depth. Patrick Stewart is completely out of his depth. Felwell is on thin ice because, to be fair to him, he started this way at Everton as well. And then David Moyes came in and saved his bacon because this is the way it was with Sean Dyche. And then David Moyes came in. So he's on thin ice as well. But we need to get this sorted out. And the Yanks need to take control of this, Gary, because we've lost our football club. The fans are completely disconnected from this pish. Nobody's interested in Rangers. I've been watching other pods today. Nobody's got any feelings going into that European game for the second week in a row. We can still save the season, by the way, if we act now. But nobody's got any feeling towards the football club, mate. And that has got to change.
And Scott, I suppose the same question to a degree, but it was Cameron's view was that mentality is a wrong word because it's around about players making decisions and stuff like that. Whereas obviously Ricky saying there is a weak mentality to some degree. Where do you stand? I suppose in my view, mentality is about, I suppose, about like Cam says, it's people just chucking it, throwing in the towel. Now that happened in the Bruges game, but other than that, even this season or last season, I don't think players are throwing in the towel. They're just not performing, and not performing because of the instructions they're being given, because of they've lost the dressing room and all that stuff, or for a whole host of different reasons. Is it mentality, as Russell Martin says, or is it much more than just that?
Nowadays in modern football, Gary, mentality is a very, very well used word. Every club uses it when they're playing poorly or when they make mistakes or whatever. You see all managers using it, fans using it. It's one of the words people just use nowadays because they think, well, I can't really say much else, or just say there's no mentality here. It's a pure excuse. You can say some it is, but I think it's very little. To be honest with you, I agree. Mentality as if you're getting beaten, you hide for the rest of the match. You only got to do, and that should take time away for the game. Saying I don't want any part of this. That's mentality for me. I think using it when you're conceding goals is an excuse. I think the problem is with Russell Martin, and not just him, other managers out there, when you have a system you want to play, you can't get, if you can't, you should have a system where you use your players and build a system around the players you've got, whereas Martin's got a system where he's trying to build the players around about his system. And some of it, they're not strong enough, some of it aren't good enough, and some of them can't do it. So you have to look at the players he has. A bit like Clement did, to a point. Look at the players he has, and then say, right, what's my strongest players here? And then try and fix a system around the ones he's got until he gets ours through the door. Because he's tried that high line last night was not mentality. That was just he's told, that's been practicing this training. We get told every day they play well in training. So they've practiced those things in training. So we've got a high line. We've used it quite a lot this season. But we know we're not quick. We know we're not clued up. We know we don't react very well to situations like that. So we're always in the back foot. And that's what happened with the ball. It's a simple ball. And all the Graz players reacted quicker than us. Because I don't know why we are not turned on. I don't know why, but it's just one of the things. Drop 5-10 yards back and you don't concede a goal like that. Maybe it's no great. You don't want to play that way, but you're not conceding goals like that because if you know your players can't do this system. I just think there's so much wrong with some systems are used as an excuse as well. You know what I mean? The boy at Crystal Palace said something that's about his system and says, I don't have a system, I have players. My players all get instructions and they follow the instruction because I know they can do it. I wouldn't give them instructions I know they couldn't do. So he doesn't have a system. He said my preferred system is 4-4-2, but I know these players couldn't play 4-4-2 because don't have the players for it. So we play other systems. But I need to focus it around my players. That's somebody talking about a sense. That's not somebody saying, I want to play this. So you are playing that position whether you like it or not. So I think there's a lot of things wrong, Gary, but I do think the main issue is the manager. And if he goes, it won't fix everything overnight, but it fixes one major problem.
Yeah. So, Cam, Russell Martin's obviously an intelligent guy, right? I think one of the things that probably do stand out is that he can talk. And at the start of the season, people started to maybe buy in it a wee bit because he talked a good game on the podcast. He was on Sky Sports, and he sounds like an educated coach. He sounds like he knows how to read the books, read the manuals, watch the videos, all the stuff that goes with it. Maybe like certain people on Twitter, you see a lot talking about the coaching side of things. So, but what he doesn't seem to be able to do to me is able to actually get players to buy into what he's doing. Now, any leader, any manager, anybody that's in a position, what their job is to get followers. So get people to buy into that system, to get people to trust them, to get people to run through a brick wall for them in the same way that any successful manager does over the period. And that's the challenge for me. I mean, you can't be a leader if you don't have somebody people want to follow you and actually do it. And his football philosophy could be the best in the world. It might be the best in the world for all we know, from a coaching manual, from a book, but in game and in play, and then with the squad he's got and the way he's throwing them under the bus, it ain't and can't ever work.
Yeah, well, first league game, I think, two actually. When we played Middlesbrough in pre-season, he threw him under the bus.
Yeah.
In a nothing game. And it was, the first game at Ibrox, he threw him under the bus, said they were rubbish at half-time, he changed it completely. And then against Motherwell, he came out and he said the players weren't doing what he asked them to, threw him under the bus again. But you go back to leaders, I mean, you either get it through respect, through having a track record of winning. So you could argue Clement had that aura about him because he'd been there, he'd been out and he'd won things. Yeah. Beale had an element of it because he'd worked with those players before and he'd won trophies with them. Gerrard had it mainly because he was Steven Gerrard, because he was this world-renowned player who demanded respect straight away. With all due respect to Russell Martin, he was a journeyman centre-half, an average one at best, and he's got no history of really winning anything. He was embarrassed in the Premier League. And also in terms of the system, players will buy into your system if they can see it's working. If they can come off the pitch and go, yeah, no, we did all right today. There's just little things missing, but we were close. But you can't tell me that we've had some of our best moments that we've played have been when we've abandoned his system and his structure. Like last night, we were in a position where I think at one point, Mikey Mokin, we didn't have a left back.
Yeah,
we had no one playing at left back. So we just threw everything at it, and we just abandoned his way of playing completely, and we played better. So what does that tell you? That looks to me almost as if he's in that situation. He's just saying to the players, just go and do something. Because I don't think he's sticking to his philosophy. But I think this is unfortunately just the modern coach, especially down in England, is it's all about philosophy. It's philosophy over results. It's about building a team that can play really nice football. And that's great, but up here you need to win.
Yeah.
So...
And Ricky, just to kind of, I mean, obviously you're a little bit older than Cameron, so just going to pick up on this point. So Alex Ferguson threw teacups in the dressing room. Walter Smith was renowned for his temper in the dressing room, but what they never did was come out and blame the players after the game. They kept it in-house, kept their counsel, and dealt with it internally. Now, and that's part of the reason they were great leaders. Similar with Guardiola to an extent. You know, Mourinho would throw out the bus at everyone else, you know. But what Russell Martin's doing is alienating the people that he needs to do the job for him, week in, week out.
Yeah, Walter Smith was a hard bastard, man. I mean, his story about what he did when with Dundee United v Roma, when he went into the dressing room himself and said, "Who's women?" and started William Wallace just throwing punches at the Roma players. That's how he had a lot of respect. Russell Martin is the complete opposite of that. If Russell Martin had to be in a fight, he would shit his pants and run away. He'd be hiding behind that girl that was protecting Patrick Stewart today with the specs, letting her take the first punch. So that's the difference, mate. No, the players. I mean, the players have got to respect what the manager is telling them, but I just don't see how Russell Martin's tactics will ever work in Scotland. He wants the players to stand and the ball to do the work. He wants he wants Raskin to stand. He wants the wingers to stand in position and the ball to be getting zipped about. And in Scotland, that's never ever going to work. And in Europe, it's even worse because the team is so wide open and the players are so static, and our defence is so bad that it is just an absolute let's take John Souttar as an example, right? John Souttar's getting crucified quite rightly for the way he's playing for Rangers right now. So in a week's time, John Souttar will play for Scotland in 2 matches and he'll look like fucking the best defender you've ever seen in your entire life, you know. So the whole way that Russell Martin sets the team up for most of these players is just not working at all. Ant-Man is getting absolutely crucified, and listen, he's got it all to prove. But when he came in and he wasn't coached, he looked fantastic, and he was going on the outside, he was coming in. Now he just keeps coming on in the inside. Like Askar's just standing there, man, and I don't think there's no way that like Kerr's seen. I must admit I never seen him play for Luton, but Kerr's seen the guy play for Luton, and he used to move around and get involved in the match. But the way that Russell Martin's telling them, you come inside, you stand there, you go on the outside, you do this. None of it is working, mate, and it's absolutely dire. It's so like even as a supporter, if you're not looking forward to watching Rangers, right? When the game starts, you're like, okay, show me something. What we're going to see here. And in Europe, we're getting cut open, we're getting cut apart. How many chances do teams have, a half decent team have against us in Europe now, mate? I mean, and Coman was brilliant for us in Europe, the way that he set the team up, because the team was very hard to play through and very hard to play against. And he basically used Czerny and Dessers on the breakaway because he knew that was good enough, and we were good enough with Diamande and Raskin in midfield to create chances. Russell Martin's just his ego is so out of control that he rips everything up that's even worked and wants to do everything his way. And that's 5 games in Europe we've been smashed and been pathetic in a row, Gary. And that has got to change. They've got to put this guy out of his misery, mate. I'm actually at a point, I hate Russell Martin, right? But I'm actually starting to feel this is turning dark and something really bad could happen. So for me, you need to get the guy out of the manager's position as soon as possible, just because the club has got to change and go in a different direction for the fans' sanity and for Russell Martin's sanity, mate, because this just can't continue.
Yeah, Scott, just picking up this point from Nicholas. I suppose Russell Martin gets the brunt of it, and rightly so. And I think we all agree in the pod. It's hard to say that we all think he should be gone. It's not working. It's not going to work. We don't see it working. It's a matter of time. But the players also have to take responsibility. And the question mark from some, you get some suggestions that the players are good, but being hamstrung by the system. You get the players look scared. The players don't look coached. The players are just not very good. Where do you stand in it all? Because I think they've probably quite lucky in a sense that Russell Martin's took all the brunt over the last couple of months.
I think they're probably mixed, Gary. They've got a point. Some of the players are mediocre, but that's what we have to deal with. That's what we've brought into the club, so we have to use them. But there'll be some players but not be happy with the situation and want to fight in the part and want to try and play better. There'll be others who don't like the situation and they don't enjoy it just because they've never experienced such intense pressure as this, because the clubs they've played for previously, be it big clubs on their own right, but they've never experienced that kind of intensity where even if you draw, you're getting criticism. So, and I think Aiden's come out and kind of say something along the lines, and he's getting slaughtered, and rightly so to a point, but he's never had this effect, whereas he's played at clubs where once the game's finished, it's not forgotten about, but he can enjoy the rest of the week training again and look forward to the next game. Whereas at Rangers, if you lose or if you draw, it's highlighted so much in the mainstream media, all the fan media, and just fans in general, because the fans are frustrated, Gary. We went a long time at winning games of football, with winning trophies and stuff like that, and yeah, we've done a lot of mediocre players, so it's probably a mixture of all these things. But at the end of the day, you can't sack the players. And I still say to this day, and I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but if they changed their manager and brought in somebody just knows basic coaching, I'm saying there's plenty of names out there who take Rangers' job. I know a lot of people say to myself, there's because our fans the way they act, they don't want this, but there's a lot of people that would still want Rangers' job, because when you see a club like this, a big club, and it's not being successful, in their mind they think, I can turn that around, I can make that big again, because everybody always thinks they can make something better. So there's a lot of people out there to take this job, and I do feel if we brought somebody else in, like Sarah, it wouldn't change everything, but it would help some of these players. It might not help them all, but it would help some of them. I think some of them are playing within themselves. I think some of them should be playing a lot better. I don't think many have shown what they're worth, but I do think some of them may be out of their depth, especially some of the ones who've signed or some of the ones who are still at the club. Maybe they should have went as well. But at the end of the day, Gary, it all comes down to Russell Martin. He's the only one that's going to get a blame everything, no matter if it's 100% his fault or 50% his fault. They can only change him, and I think that's the way it has to go. And listen, we could turn up on Sunday and play really well, but it doesn't change anything for me, because some of these players I do feel look lost when they're playing the game. And like Cameron rightly said, when a few times at the end of games we've been chasing games, and it's been quite a lot this season, even though we've not played a lot of games, but it's been a lot of games we've been chasing it to try and get something. I mean, the tactics and everything else goes out the window, and he starts to just say, right, two up top and whatever else. We do look better. We're open at the back, don't get me wrong, and good teams will punish us on the break, no problem. But we do start to I stuck a fire on Rangers last night, because I thought we're creating some chances here. I know 14 to 1. So I'm going to stick a fire on us to win this game. Obviously, it never happened, but just because we started creating stuff and they started to play, I don't know if the players enjoyed it, but they were playing under less restriction, if you know what I mean. We're just pulled forward and we were hitting long balls, and Gisama was getting a lot of joy, and we were just trying to get the ball forward as quickly as possible instead of getting around the circles and getting back through the centre backs. And just one point, Ricky mentioned Suter when he plays with Scotland reminds me of like Colin Hendry, right? He plays well, he's a big siege defender. I'm not saying he's as good as Colin Hendry, but he puts his body in the line, his head in the line. He just does defending. But when he plays at Rangers, we're asking him to do far, far too much, and he struggles, because that's not his game. Plus, he's not a leader for me either. And it's a bit like Colin Hendry when he came to Rangers, Gary, remember when they under Dick Advocate? He tried to get him to play football and he struggled badly. And I think there's a bit of that there.
No, I think you're right. So I suppose, Cameron, one of the things that came across to me last night is apathy is fully set in. You know, the game, my dad, my daughter came out to watch the game, and I'll be honest, I wasn't massively interested. If Coronation Street was on, I might put that on instead. If that's still on, I don't know if it is. But my dad walked in and said to us that, let's see how bad it's going to be tonight. And that's his first thought. Do you know how bad's the game going to be? I think I've spent about, and you'll be the same, Scott, I think between me and my daughter, plus about $2,000 already in tickets, between season tickets and games, and not enjoying any of it. Not enjoying one little bit. And my worry is that as fans stay away, fans are lost, fans just lose interest, do you know, and struggle to get that back the longer this goes on.
I don't think necessarily they'll lose interest. They'll just become more and more frustrated. You saw that last night in the videos. People will actually just go and confront people, which I think is a bit of a concern. I mean, when Kasama scored last night, I was just motionless. I just sat there and just went, "Oh, good goal."
Yeah,
That
Scott
was
got
it.
on the bookies, really. Scott was straight on the bookies.
Yeah,
clearly.
But yeah, something needs to be done because, like we said, Europe's kind of our main money driver, isn't it? And we are in a genuine issue where I think the one again home game against Genk, obviously we lost prize money because we didn't win the game, but also we'd have lost money in unsold tickets, which I think was around £1 million in one game. All of a sudden, if you're looking at it and you've got 4 home games in Europe, and that happens another 3 times, that's £4 million, maybe even potentially rising to £5 million. You're putting yourself out of. That's a lot of money for us, considering that that's our main driver in terms of turning a profit. So I think it will reach a point where it won't just be a footballing decision, but it will be a financial decision in terms of whether or not they keep him on.
Yeah. Last thing, Ricky, before we go into the game itself. So we also had during the week the tone deaf decision for Kevin Thelwell to appoint his son as head of recruitment. Now, I think he could be great. He could be the most amazing head of recruitment you'll ever see. He could be outstanding. However, I suppose point one would be, how objective are you at hiring your son? I'm not sure I'd be that objective at hiring any of my kids. I would think they're good, even if they couldn't string a sentence together. And secondly, timing is everything. You don't bring a boy in because effectively he can't run really. No matter how good he is, he's going to be tarred with the fact that he's come in at a time when Kevin Thelwell's getting pelters week in, week out as well.
Yeah, well, speaking to Kerr, actually, he's got contacts in the football business because he's a highly connected gentleman. So he reckons that Thelwell's son's going to be an absolute genius. But I didn't read that on Twitter today. Like the Norwich fans were calling him, he was getting the usual. I know, but X is a bit brutal. I think with any football person, when you leave a club, it's going to be. But he was getting the big Fernandes treatment for the Norwich fans that were crucifying him, saying, "Oh, thank God he's away. He's not signed a decent player for the last 2-3 years." But to be honest with you, Gary, they've not came out and told us what happened with this massive review that they did of the football club, right? But you can sort of see in the background all the moves that they're starting to make, that if Rangers were winning and Martin had been a success and like the Victoria Pilsen game had carried on and the team was playing brilliant, you would be looking at a lot of not the Thelwell Junior one is mental. Even doing like your company, my company, you're not allowed to hire your son and stuff like that. So I don't know why in football it's allowed, but there's been so many appointments this week. I think we've got like 4 people doing the job that Coppin was doing, just with different titles. It's difficult to keep up because Dan Purdy, you've got Thelwell's son, you've got another guy that's came in, you've got a head scout. So it's very difficult to keep up with who's going to be doing what. There was a chief operating officer from Man United that was so there's so many appointments. So I think this stuff that's going on in the background must be from this internal review. So it's very difficult to judge it. It shouldn't have happened. It's brutal. This is not the week for nepotism or like hiring your son into Rangers. I mean, somebody should have took a look at that and went, guys, the fans are just not going to. But this is what I mean. There's nobody. You don't have a Jimmy Bell. You don't have someone there going, guys, what are you playing at? You know, someone that's telling the fans are, but there's nobody actually telling these guys straight that, look, guys, this is just right now is the worst thing. You're just pouring more petrol on the fire. And so it was a crazy decision, but we're not going to know for the next 2, 3 years, 4 years, and you're going to probably be in a position where everything's going to be on Thelwell as director of football anyway with these decisions, if they're going to work or they're not going to work in the future. But it was a bad decision, and a bad decision at a bad time, Gary.
Yeah. I mean, it could turn out to be a great decision, but it's the timing is all wrong. And I think you've got a lot of optimism, Ricky, that you think Thelwell and all of them are still going to be in 3 or 4 years' time at this rate. You know, it looks as though they'll be lucky to last 3 or 4 months.
We'll see.
So let's talk a wee bit about the game, right? So in terms of the game itself, Scott, we lined up with the same team against Livingston, bar Chermiti coming in for Miovski. I think I said Monday, I think that makes sense. You know, you're well getting them games. So other than that, the team that disappointed before we flung the kitchen sink at it had started again, other than Chermiti. Were you happy enough with the team? Any other changes you looked at?
Not really, Gary. I think there's a lot else who could have probably started because we had people who done against us. Barami come on and done well, and everybody was saying, why doesn't he get a start? He's on the squad, and then obviously you've got the Amanda suspended. So I think I kind of had, and Cameron's just back in the squad, so I don't think he's 100% fit to start, or he would have started. But apart from that, it's probably. I mean, you sign somebody for £8 million. I think these are the games you've got to start him in. I don't think you can sit on a bench now when you've paid that money for him. Whereas it's not the boy's fault, but you sign somebody for £8 million, he's got to start European games.
Aye. And to be fair to him, in both games, I don't think he's been particularly bad. I think he's been all right. He's been worked. He's done reasonable. There's nothing you would pin massive blame on for him. He's contributing as much as Miofsky probably has in the couple of games he's played as well.
Miofsky should have scored, shouldn't he? The ball for asking, and should have scored it. I mean, that's what we bought him for. And I don't know why as soon as it bounced, he was leaning back. As soon as I had to, you know, it was going over the bar because of the chances that he usually scores, he usually puts away. Didn't you see him putting away with Aberdeen constantly? So I don't know why he just went over the bar, but obviously these things happen. But no, I was happy with starting team because, like I say, there wasn't a lot else you could have went with. But it's not the names of the team sheet, Gary. It's how we line up and how we start games.
Yeah. So what we always do, actually, fun enough, is start well for the first couple of minutes. I think we've said this in every game. We start well for the first 3, 4, 5 minutes, and we probably did again, for what I recall. But Cameron, then we lose a terrible goal. I think from Russell Martin's perspective, he's thrown Tab under the bus for throwing it to Chermiti. Chermiti, when he should have been throwing it back to Suter, seems to be the suggestion that he's made. He throws it to Chermiti. Chermiti doesn't win the ball. The ball comes right through, and Suter's in no man's land. And I can't actually remember now whether it's the same guy that wins the ball that runs straight through and scores, or whether he passes it to somebody. But because then Butland probably arguably could have been better at it as well. But it's a comical goal with not a tackle. Have you seen?
Yeah, I'm not. Again, with the Martin thing, I'm the blaming Tab thing, and that's just stupid because throw-ins, you have to adapt because he's set up by the looks of it to play a certain way from a throw-in, and Tab's made a decision to throw it down the line because for whatever reason, Suter and Barron weren't viable options. So Suter and Barron need to adapt quickly to that decision. So I think it either comes from communication or from them recognizing what's happening, and they don't, which leaves us open at the back. So he's saying that they work on this a lot. Doesn't look like it to me. It looks like players are unsure as to where they should be and what their roles are. So again, this goes back to communication. Either your communication is not clear, or your instructions are too complex. You need to make things simpler, which in my eyes was most likely the case. But it just looks like players just aren't communicating with each other. I think the boy passed it in the end. It is a bit of a comical goal to concede. And then you see it again with the second goal, don't you? We set up a high line. It's a runner from deep, isn't it? I think is it Barron's man? I think it's Barron. The guy just drops deep about 2-3 yards, makes a running behind, just switching off, not communicating to each other. And again, we talk about players, but tactically, when you've got a goalkeeper who's still in his 6-yard box, 30 yards from his defensive line, that's an awful lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
And we're not exactly blessed with pace at the back. So it's a bit of a strange decision why that was even set up, to be honest.
Yeah. And I don't know, Ricky, if you were on the first goal, before we get to the first goal, the second goal, sorry, it was on the first goal that stood out to you, and where the failings were?
Yeah, I just think it's mental with modern football. I think you give players way too many excuses, mate. The players need to be told where to throw the ball? Do they need to be coached to the point that you're telling them how to take a throw in, for fuck's sake? Sorry to swear, but come on, guys. I watched the Kenny Dalglish on Overlap today. It was quite boring, but it was fascinating speaking about his Liverpool team from the olden days and stuff like that. And they were asking him because the guys were fascinated about what you're discussing about modern coaching and the excuses that we give players now, because it's like, okay, players are, rather than players like digging players out for making mistakes, it's like, oh, he's made the mistake, so I'm not going to get it. Like, that's the way modern players are, and they're just so overcoached to within an inch of their life, Gary. It just drives me absolutely crazy. The player that's nearest to the throw-in should be taking the throw-in fast to the guy that's up the line or to the guy. But we're pulling players into position, and Suter's getting pulled over here, and this player's getting pulled over here for a fucking throw-in, for God's sake. It's like, come on, guys. And this is not just they're on about, this is not just a Russell Martin thing. This was happening under Comonti's type of goals. It was happening under Barry Ferguson. We have had, since Gerrard left, since 55, some of the comical goals that we have conceded, Gary. You could honestly make a videotape of how bad they are, and it's so frustrating. It's unbelievable.
So Chermiti has a chance, Scott. He probably should score with a header. Gassama actually put a cross in that went to somebody's head. Normally they're a bit wayward, but he put one in his head. Should score. Probably confidence. Maybe the fact he's not scored for 2 years doesn't help. And there's not enough of what happened in the game, if I remember rightly. But then we obviously get to the second goal now. I'm going to actually sadly give Sturm Graz credit, because if they'd watched Rangers at any point this season, you would see that high line. You would see that they were getting caught out repeatedly with it. I think that it's fair to say that Barron doesn't track his man. McGoma's looking in no man's land. And as Cameron said, Butland should be another 10 yards further forward when you've got that space. So everything about the goal, if it wasn't tactical, obviously it wasn't technical, it wasn't tactical, it was players doing the wrong thing.
Obviously, that's the way they've been told to line up. That's the way they've practiced it as well. But this high line, like I said earlier, why don't we just drop 5-10 yards and they might not score that goal? But it's obviously the way they've been performing and been practicing it in training, performing it, and by all accounts, they look good in training. So in a match situation, they can.
That's because it's our attackers that are attacking them.
I suppose. But I don't know. I mean, and people say mentality issue, but no, it's just people. They just switch off. They're struggling to get in possession. They're struggling to defend. They don't adapt. They're too quick to react. They're too slow to react. Sorry, and by the time they do react, the Graz players are away and boys put it in the net. And they should know what's coming with the line they've got. They should know what's coming. I mean, boys football, stuff like that. I mean, it's not hard to work out. I mean, we've even tried that. I think Charlie Adam tried a couple of when he played with us. It's not a hard thing to do. So, but when you play that high line guy, there's always a risk at teams will try this. It's the ball down the side, a wee ball over the top, and when your players don't react, then you get problems constantly. But yeah, if they're too high up the park, he has to change it and drop deeper. And like Cam said, the Butland's never really got Butland's never been a keeper to come off out his box anyway. He's always been that type of goalkeeper. So it's shocking. And if Graz can score that goal against us, it gives our team in the watching thinking, well, we can do the same.
Yeah. And I'm sure Sturm Graz watched the games against Panathinaikos and Middlesbrough and all the other ones whenever the high line, thought, do you know what, if we pass this ball, we're right through. Do you know, I don't think they didn't just decide to do it on that moment. I think they've watched us and seen there was a weakness there and exploited it, which is all credit to them. But really poor from our point of view, as you say, Cameron and Butland doesn't come out. You can't leave that big 10-15 yards of space in between the line and him, because there's always going to be a gap there to drop the ball into.
Not even that, but someone could just block the run. Just stand in front of him. Why is there even that gap? Just block him. Just stupid, really. I mean, going back to the first goal, it's basic stuff. If someone's throwing the ball down the line as a centre half, you step up and follow the play, and you close the space. It's just standard stuff, really. It's just basic stuff. So we don't really know what to think of it. Is it Martin overcomplicating the system, or is it just players not paying attention?
No. So half time comes, Cameron, and we take off Ant-Man and Magoma. Now, I'll maybe just get your thoughts on both of them first. I think Magoma got a bit of credit when he first came in because he was new and he was throwing into his first game. I personally don't think he's been particularly impressive in any games, and certainly doesn't look an upgrade on Hefty or even the injured Yilmaz. He's starting to struggle more and more.
Well, he's a young lad, isn't he? And this is the problem with any young lad. Sometimes you just need an experienced person in front of you or someone above him to just kind of help him. And he's really the only recognised left back we've got at the club, and that's a massive weight on his shoulder. And he's done well, but he's still a raw player. He isn't the finished article. He's got massive frailties. I thought Cornelius looked better at centre half. I thought we looked a lot more solid when he moved out that side and Tav came in at centre half.
See on that then, Cameron, I was thinking about it earlier on. So we have a international centre half that costs £10 million on the bench in Giga. And what we decide is that putting our right back into centre half is a better option instead, and sticking Max Aaron has been abysmal all season out on the right. That either doesn't say very much for Giga, or it says, sadly, watching the games that Tav's probably our best centre back.
Yeah, well, I think that does. I mean, like you said, when he came in, we all thought he was the dog's bollocks. We thought he was really good. He looked like the centre half we've been asking for a long time, and then he just went off the boil completely. And I think this highlights another issue with Martin. Once you're out, you're out. It's a long way back in. And I think you're seeing that with Irons and Giga, which seems odd, seeing as they are literally straight loans, and Giga we couldn't afford anyway. So I think that does say a lot, to be honest, about those two players in particular.
And then I suppose the other change was Ant-Man. I mean, I don't know, Ricky, if you want to pick up an Ant-Man. And the guy that joined us was it the assist machine from the Eredivisie? He ran down the line, he crossed the ball in, he played balls across. Now he gets the ball, turns in a straight line, runs straight into somebody before he loses the ball, and it looks like a shadow of the player that we thought we were getting.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and that you have to ask them, because everyone's saying we should have signed Czerny, but would Czerny be asked to do exactly the same in this Russell Martin team? That's the question, Gary. It's an absolutely, it's a conundrum what has happened to that guy, because he's got all the stats. His heat map last season, he was always going up the wing, and when he's in a position, he will find a player in the box. So he's the type of player, more than Gassama. Ant-Man is the one that you want to get in on that byline facing, so because he is the one that will find the player in the box. Gassama, for me, is amazing at scoring the goal that he did in Europe, and he's amazing, and he'll find the player on the edge of the box, but I think he still needs to work on his crossing. He gets many times in great positions, and he doesn't put the ball into the box as a cross at the correct time, and but that'll come with Gassama. But on the other side, Ant-Man, we've got him. He's in Asgard as well. They're both in the wrong position. I don't like the way that they have to stand and wait for the ball to come to them. But both of them are playing in the wrong positions on the pitch, Gary. And listen, I'm getting a jib from Nicholas going, "Oh, you're protecting the players." I'm not protecting any players, mate. I don't think our three best players in our team right now is Tavernier, Raskin, and Butland that have been here for years. The rest are utter pish. No, Gassama's a hit and a miss. He scored a great goal yesterday, but Gassama's no turning up every single match and creating assists and doing something amazing. Just because you score a goal every 7 matches from the left, Czerny was a lot more. Czerny was giving you a lot more on the right than Gassama's giving you on the left, and that's no digging Gassama out, because he's a young kid, and I do think he will work in a good Rangers team. But there's the other players in that team that was signed. They've been none of our signings make any sense. We've not got a spine in the team. Our defence is worse than it's ever been. We don't look like we've
loans
got that
as well.
record.
Just all loans in defence.
Loans. Three of our defence is on loan, and like
2 of them can't get a game.
How would you get rid of 2 left backs, right? You get rid of a Turkish international, soon to be a World Cup Brazil international in Jefte, and you bring in a kid. You bring in a kid on loan from Bournemouth, and that's your only option at left back. And I think Cam, who speaks a lot of sense, hit the nail on the head. He's a 19-year-old kid. You can't even blame him, because you're putting him. If he was from our academy, you would never, you would be saying, put him in the team, take him out of the team, put him in the team, take him out of the team. Certain matches you play him. We've just signed this kid, and suddenly you're only left back. You're going to play 80 matches this season, and the guy's never played 80 matches in his career. It's absolutely mind-boggling, Gary. None of it is joy. I know that these guys came in and they had to think fast, and but we heard about this 49ers huge database. Sorry, we've got Hearts have got Jamestown Analytics, and we've got Farewell Analytics, which is absolute pish. It's the Temu version, and oh my God, I'm worried about the January window, mate, because God knows what we're going to do.
Yeah. Scott, so you get excited as the games start to progress. Gassama scores a wonderful goal, to be fair to him, and I would maybe question their goalkeeper a little bit, but Cornelius makes a good run to create the space for him, a good ball. we get to 2-1. We are actually playing pretty well. There's no shape, no real tactics. It's just get the ball and run forward. You could then stick that bet on at 14-1 to try and get close some money in. But at that point, I think from then we bring on Danilo, Moore, Rothwell, and we effectively, as we say, we play with no left back. We've got Tav and Suter, or the two centre halves, probably up the park most of the time as well. And God knows what's happening. But we do perform. We do get some chances. Suter was unlucky with a really good chance as a header. Camillo's a chance, and we probably could. And even looking at stats, they could and should potentially have scraped something out of the game, despite how bad we were.
We had more chances in the second half, Gary, than we've had for a while. But he threw shit at a wall, didn't hope was something mistake, and it nearly did, because we had a lot of guys in the box for a change. We had folk in there causing issues, and Graz were only hitting us on the break. But that was an issue. If they were a better team with the hitters in the break, because we were all over the place. It was like a basketball game at times. It was just back and forth. There was no shape for either team. It was no organisation. You're looking at two poor teams last night, I have to say, and we were just fortunate we were playing against somebody that was slightly better. Unfortunate, I should say, but no, I mean, but Cam said earlier, we play better when everything's out the window, and we just tell players to attack. We seem to look a lot better. The players seem to enjoy it, because, like I say, they've been let off the leashes. It doesn't always work right enough, but there's some in there. You can say, well, why does he not try that for the start? Why does he not change it for the start and say that this keep ball nonsense and players coming inside, players going outside, defenders standing too far apart, too much space between midfielders and attackers. Then Raskin does too much. He tries to do too much, and he's a big space in the middle, because the bonus way we've still not got a number 6. They've got Barron, who struggles there. You've got Rothwell, who's never a number 6. You've got Raskin, who's number 6, and you've got Diamandi, who's not number 6. If he's somebody actually sat in there, we wouldn't have as much space, but we've no. So, and that's probably how he gets annoyed at Raskin, because he runs into space, tries to do everybody's jobs, and at times he leaves a lot of space behind him. But I thought he was okay last night. I thought, listen, we weren't good enough at the end of the day, but we did look better when, I don't know why he brought in Danilo right enough. That did puzzle me. It was like, you get strikers on enough. Why don't bring on another big centre back and chuck up everything and bring on Danilo? Do you know what I mean? He's been that far out of the team time. He was sitting next to Fernandez and Seattle. But no, I don't know, Gary. I don't know what way he's going to go. It just seems to be, for somebody who's so focused in systems and shapes and all that stuff, and then he chucks the last couple of games, he just chucked out the window to try and scrape something. So to me, he's fighting for something. I don't mean the players, but that Martin knows he's in trouble, but he won't admit it.
Aye. And to be fair, numerous times done that Dundee game we were at Ibrox. He done it last half hour with 10 men, flung everybody on, and just it was played with one defence. I think it was Tav and Raskin and 9 players up front. So it's not the first time he's done it this season, and it's worked. Actually, funnily enough, most of the time he's done it, it's actually looked better than anything we've done at any other point in the games. So before we look a wee bit at the Falkirk game, Rick, I'm going to ask you a question then. So you and all of us around this wee virtual room think that he has no future, Russell Martin. If you had a choice, would you rather lose the game against Falkirk and have him sacked on Monday morning, or see this continue for the next couple of months, limp along for a bit longer?
Easiest question in the world, man. Falkirk 6, Rangers 0. Get them to fuck, 100%, man.
Come on, Scotty Arfield. Come on, Scotty Arfield.
Come on, Scotty Arfield, the Saturday night. Honestly, mate, I absolutely despise everything about Russell Martin. I hate the way he brushes his teeth. I hate the way he combs his hair. I hate the fact that the clothes he wears, the trainers he wears, his pattern's terrible. The way that he talks in press conferences, the way that he lies. I hate liars. He's an absolute liar. He lies to us. And I cannot stand people that lie to your face. And he tells us all these fairy tales about how good it's going to be. And it's just absolute nonsense. So for me, Falkirk 6, Rangers 0. Get rid of Martin. Our season starts after the international break. And I've got 5 names that we need to go through. So we'll speak about that later, but that's another pod.
So, JD wants you to give a little bit of a rendition again there before we move on. No. Sorry, JD, I tried for you. Cameron, then, same to you, I suppose. The game against Falkirk is obviously, irrespective of whether he wins or loses or draws, I think, fans are hopeful maybe naively, so that the international break is a time when the club makes a change. Do you think that is likely to happen? Forget the result. Do you think that's possible to look to get to?
Yeah, I have a strong belief that this whole time they've just left him in place until we find a replacement, and I think an international break is probably the best time because it gives that manager 2 weeks with those players to implement something. But yeah, I can't. Given everything that they told us that they wanted success and they wanted to build a successful club, you can't be telling me that they're looking at this right now going, yeah, this is going to get better. I don't think it is.
Yeah. And do you think you don't think then a win gives them a stay of execution any further?
No. I think it's the manner, isn't it? I think there's a very, very small chance. It depends on the manner, doesn't it? If we rock up to Falkirk on Sunday and we win, I'll reverse it, Ricky. 6-0 against Falkirk. You know, you're gonna have him in a position where he'll say, right, it's clicked. It's gonna kick on now. I've got 2 weeks with him. So it depends on the manner. If we win Sunday, if we scrape past it like we did at Livy, I think he's gone. But I think if he can annihilate someone or smash someone, maybe he's got a very small chance.
Gary, it doesn't matter. He can't set a team up in Europe. He doesn't have a fucking clue what he's doing, mate. It doesn't matter if he beats, if we beat Falkirk 10-0 on Saturday. You're going to go after the international gate straight away. He's playing teams, mate. That was the easiest 2 games we've had in the easy for me to say Europa League in the last since Gerrard came in. That was the easiest games we've had, and we got absolutely, the teams created so many chances against us. And as soon as you get after the break, you're going to be beating the Europa League. Do you honestly think he's going to beat Roma, Braga, Porto? You think he's going to beat their teams with the way that he sets up against their teams? So it doesn't matter if you keep him. You're going to keep this poison going with Rangers and take our Rangers away from us going into November, going over the cold Christmas period and going into January just to double down for what? Because this is not going to change. There is not even 0.0000001 chance Martin turns us around.
I mean, let's in fairness, let's have it right. He's been given time.
Yeah.
He's been given time to turn this around, and he hasn't.
And it's getting worse.
So he cannot walk away from this and go on a podcast, which he probably will do, and say, there wasn't getting enough time, just needed a couple more games. He's been given so far 16 competitive games.
And just for them to tune out the podcast now, I did not say keep him at any point, Ricky, just in case anybody's tuning in thinking, is that Gary saying keep him? No, we are talking about the broader audience and how that there's no chance for him to stay. So on that, Scott, then, so we think, we would hope, we would dream that over the international break, change is made. Maybe because in the hotel lobby, Stuart and Thelwell getting abused, that may make them move their decision forward a wee bit than they would have done, because they never react very well when they're getting the grief himself, any director of football. There's a lot of people talking on here on the chat about Steven Gerrard, and I suppose my question is, maybe less about Gerrard, but do you think it needs somebody of that stature and that? I'll come back to what we were talking about earlier on, that needs to come in to turn the fans around, get the buzz a bit back, and kind of change the dynamic?
I think it just needs anybody, Gary. Personally, my choice would be Derek McInnes, but that's just me. But listen, if Gerrard came in, he would get my field back in as well. I think anybody.
I think you want to lift Ibrox him because he lives down the road for you. I think that's why you keep saying
it. Get tickets for games on a season ticket. No, I think, to be honest with you, I think anybody coming in at this time would get it back in for the fans just because we've been watching. But I don't think they will. Even though, got to remember, these guys that spoke up in that video, you can say it's a bit concerning because confronting folk, yourself, nowadays, anything can happen. That probably happened. That happened years ago as well, Gary. But people didn't have camera phones and that, so you never heard about stuff like that. But it's always kind of happened. But you remember these guys that did it, these guys pay a hell of a lot of money. These aren't just guys like me and you that go buy a ticket and go to a game ourselves. These are guys who are paying through and over to go into VIP things and all that, away games, so they're paying thousands of pounds sometimes, you know what I mean? So they're probably more angrier than me or you would be, because they're paying a lot of money. So, listen, I think they know deep down it's not going to work. But did they pull the plug? I'm not 100% sure. I don't trust any two of them. I think Thirlwell gave the guy a bit of time speaking back. Patrick Stewart doesn't give a shit about Rangers. He never has. I mean, and I didn't hear it properly, and I know everybody's saying it in social media and stuff, and asking the fan, who would you put in charge of something like that? If he actually said that, then he needs to be told that you're leaving, because the money he earns a year to be in that position, that's his job, to go and get somebody to get in charge of this club. I mean, he's
Kerr,
a
he
CEO.
did. He did. He did.
That's what somebody's saying. That's what somebody's saying to you, Gary, for Govan. Gary, you say to somebody walking by in the street, what would you do? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. So I just think it's past the stage where it should be. You shouldn't be here, but they don't seem too concerned for me on the surface. I mean, they've told. I mean, I know the owners come in and said it first, but if there's anything to see, they'll come out and say it. And people have been showing Dyche. I think that's just because Thirlwell's appointing his son, who, by the way, I've heard the boy's really good at his job, but I do think it's a wrong appointment considering it was his son. I think you have to look outside the box for somebody in that position. I think appointing your son is a bad move because, like you said earlier, Gary, as well, if it doesn't work out, you've got to sack your son as well. Do you know that way? So it's quite difficult. It's a wrong move for me to make. But I just feel they have to do something, but I don't think they will. I don't think they're overly concerned as we are. And I don't understand why. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I've not got any hope if Falkirk won on Sunday, he's away. I've not got any hope if he won on Sunday, he's away. I think he's here for now a wee while yet. I think it has to get a lot more worse than this before he's actually been told to go. He's too comfortable in press conferences. I know people say he looks stressed. He doesn't. See that laughing and joking last night? I was raging watching that presser after the game.
I think it's a nervous tension, but I think it's maybe as a nervousness.
Nervous tension, malice. He's an arrogant narcissist. Listen, I was sitting watching that last night. I was sitting watching that last night, absolutely raging. I'm like, we've just been beat again. We're horrible to watch. We're this, we're that. And he's smiling. It's like, would you have seen any other Rangers manager in the past smiling? Even Bill when he smiled.
No.
And he get criticised. But he's sitting smiling. That's not nervous. That's somebody who knows this isn't my fault. This is the player's fault.
And I think that's been evident as we've talked about tonight. He doesn't really think it's his issue. It's the players that need to adapt to his thinking, or else, and if they don't, they'll be the ones going, not him. It seems to be. But I mean, I think we all would have a worry, Ricky, that if in 2 weeks' time we come back and he's still sitting there and they've had a good week in training again, they're ready to go, and the fans won't buy it, basically.
Yeah, it'll be soul destroying because we've got the European game coming up. We might win. We've got Dundee United at home, so that's going to be poisonous. Ibrox will be half full for sure because fans are they've had enough of them. We've had our fill now. It's pure poison. It's poisonous, and there'll be guys like yourself and Kerr that has got every right to go. I mean, I would never tell a fan whether to boycott or not. I don't think that other fans should tell other fans what to do, but I think there will be a lot of fans. There'll be protests with the Union Bears for sure. Even if we beat Falkirk on Sunday, that's going to be the case 100%. So for me, the club is in a position now. Listen, we know there is no chance Martin can turn this around. The fans despise him. It's everything he says, and it's like Kerr says, it's not taken, and it's not just Rangers fans, by the way. It's been noticed by CBS. It's been noticed on TNT. It's been noticed around the world that, mate, you're the manager. They're watching them after these European games. They're used to Rangers being a good Europa League Thursday night team. They can see how much the team has regressed with this manager in charge. They can see Ibrox is half empty when it's meant to be. Like, people are excited to watch Rangers. We're one of the teams that the stadium's always bouncing, and we've got a great. We've did well the last 10 years. Everything that's wrong in Scotland, nobody watches the Scottish League anyway, but everyone watches us in Europe, and that's all gone, Gary. Team, it's that old saying that you're only as good as your last performance. And last season we got to the quarter-final, but this season we're pathetic and we're at the bottom of the league and we're getting beat. And that, I mean, surely if Andrew Kavanagh can't see anything else, surely he can see the damage that. And there's no way, even the pish that Martin can talk and that he says to him on the phone, that at what point does the penny drop in his head? He's a billionaire, for God's sake. At what point does the penny drop in his head and he go, oh, maybe we've made a mistake with the mentality of this football club? Because I can tell you what, they were given different advice from Barry Ferguson and others before they came in not to do what they went and did the exact opposite of all that advice they were given, mate. So for me, a change has to happen. I'll give you the names quickly. My 5 names would be McInnes, Gerrard, Muscat, Frank Lampard, and if all 4 of them say no, which there's a good chance they will, I would go for Stephen Robinson and just steady the ship for the next couple of years. And some fans will go, no, but I don't give a shit because I think he's a good Scottish manager if McInnes knocks it back. Well, he's Irish, but he knows the league and he knows. Just stabilise the club for a few years and forget about all these fancy European names that know nothing about the football club that come in with these great philosophies. Cam's not having Robinson.
So those that are listening there, right, so we're not going to do the manager chat tonight because remember this for next week, right? Remember this when if he's hopefully gone, we can go back to Ricky's 5 suggestions and dissect them one by one to see what people think. Just want to say welcome to the channel, David. I'm glad you've joined us. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We all agree with you and hopefully watch again on Monday. We're on the Friday and the Monday. Please like, share and subscribe as we ask everybody to do because that helps the channel and helps us grow. So our last couple of minutes of the pod, I think we have a game on Sunday. Who knew there's a game on Sunday? We've not really talked about it much other than Scotty Arfield should score the winner ideally. We have a number of players that are playing poorly. We have a number of players that have been kicked out of the team recently because we were playing poorly. And we've got a couple of players playing average. Ricky, who would you have in your team for Sunday at 3 p.m?
I would like a bit of freshness in the midfield. I think it's time to take Asgard out of the team. So I'd like young Cameron. I'd like Jigga to start. I would take Suter out of the team as well. So I would go Jigga and Cornelius, young left back, Tav at right back. And I would like to see a Raskin, probably Barron, unfortunately. Maybe Rothwell actually for Barron. Go Rothwell, Raskin. And to put Raskin a bit deeper again. And Cameron for a bit more legs in midfield, just try something a bit different. And then up front, I'd love to see young Finlay Curtis come in on the right and give him a chance again with Miovski and Gassama. And I'll go 6-0 Falkirk.
First goal scorer?
Scotty Arfield, has to be.
I was going to go John Suter own goal. Cameron, any changes for you? What would you look at doing Sunday?
Yeah, I think an element of freshness in that keeps humidity in the team. I thought he was probably actually, in my eyes, the only one who gets pass marks. So I think he stays in the team. To be honest, I think he'll need his physicality in there, especially if you're putting the ball in the box. Midfield 3, I'd go with Lyle Cameron, Barron, and Raskin. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a game to try and control the game. I think it's going to be a case of who picks up the most second balls, and then I think the back 4 maybe probably picks itself. I'd put Giga in there and Tav at right back because I think you saw that we did miss his. He does still offer something going forward, and he's a big outlet for the team. So even though he was really assured at centre half, I'd like to keep him at right back. And I think left back, I think you just stick with McCormer and got to be patient with him. This is the thing we mentioned it before. Guys, kids 19 years of age, stop comparing these 19-year-old kids to Bellingham, Lamine Yamal. They're 1 in a million. The guy's going to mess up this time, but he's done pretty well for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, so that's what Ross just said there. Just seen that Gassama, Chamiti, and Curtis. I'm assuming Scott that much might be quite. You're liking how you like Finlay Curtis. So do you have any other changes?
I'll go with 3 at the back, Gary. I'll go 3-5-2.
Just 3 attackers at the back or any 3 defenders?
I would go with Tav, Cornelius and Giga. I would go with 2 wing backs, would be Curtis and Gassama. Midfield would be same as Cam's, Barron, Raskin and Cameron, and I would go with Chamiti and Miovski. I would just go for it. Don't listen to win, just go for it, man. Why not? We're trying to play football, we're trying to defend, we can't play football, we can't defend. Just say, sod it, let's go for it. Folk will not expect that. John McGlynn will be cleaning his glasses if he sees us doing that.
Do you think he might bring Aaron's back if he threw Tav under the bus or something? Just come back to Cameron's point. So if he threw Tav under the bus a wee bit, do you think he might look to bring Aaron's in?
No way.
If he was, if you watched when he came on against Livy, he was absolutely raging at him for most of the time that he was on. He would not leave him alone. So quite clearly, he's not doing what he's instructed.
Yeah.
And I thought he was garbage when he came on. He kept losing the ball. I thought the ball kept getting stuck under his feet. So
the shirt's too heavy for him, man. The shirt's too heavy. Just it happens to some players. The shirt's way too heavy for him.
He said that in the interview, didn't he? He said the fans' noise is getting to us. It's
scaring him. Scared.
Yeah.
He's scared.
It's like, right, yeah, that's just 101. That should be the first thing. It's like, you don't say that.
Right.
You don't say that.
Need to change his nappy at half time.
That's mentality, though, to be fair. That's the issue. With him, he's not got a strong enough mentality. No, I think, for me, I would probably bring Giga and I'd probably play Cornelius at left back, Suter and Tav. I'd like to see Rothwell get because of Camels he has had, but playing further forward when he can run with the ball. So possibly him. Do you bring Diamande back? It's always hard to judge because there's a player there, but never does it. And certainly Raskin. I would play Chermiti. I will go Curtis probably as well and Gassama. I think it's probably much the same. The other guys aren't doing it, and it's not because we think they're necessarily going to do great. It's because the other guys aren't performing well enough to get in the team.
Try freshness. The change. I like all these suggestions. I think the defence you've got. I don't agree with Cam saying the defence picks itself. We've not kept a clean sheet for about 18 years. So we need you need to make changes and try and get something to stick. We've got a lot of players in the squad, so try something different and see if we can get something that's going to work at least in Scotland.
Yeah. So we've been on just over an hour or so. It's been a hard shift for everybody and a hard shift for those watching. So we do appreciate you. I appreciate the new people that joined this evening. And we've always
score predictions for Sunday, Gary, no?
For me, I'll give you one, right? Do you know I don't care? Who does it matter? Either way. Do you know?
I'm actually hoping for Rangers winning Sunday because it's my birthday on Sunday, so I don't want to get beaten my birthday.
Don't put money on it, you jinxing bastard.
Is that a letter for the king on its way?
Aye.
So happy birthday, Scott, when it comes to Sunday. Hopefully Rangers do not ruin your day further then. So I do think, at the end of the day, you want to win. Irrespective of all the other stuff that goes around about it, you want Rangers to win because that's why you support them. I don't think it'll be good. I don't think it'll be much fun, but I'd rather scrape a 1-0 win than a 6-0 loss, sadly, because that's the heart always rules ahead with these things. We'll be back on Monday night, and probably after that is international break time again in it, which is good for it. Is it international break time again? Isn't it? So we'll have a little bit of a break during that time. We won't be on as much, and we can hopefully, unless Russell Martin gets sacked, I'm done every night. So we're talking about Ricky's. Each night we'll spend a night a show on one of your 5 candidates, Ricky.
Rangers review.
Deep dive on them. So we will be back Monday night anyway, hopefully with a win, hopefully some positive to talk about. We do appreciate you watching what is a hard, draining Russell Martin bashing episode. So have a good weekend, everybody, and we will see you then. Bye now.